Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio. I'm your host, Cy G. Weekly, we bring you motivation, inspiration, and information that encourages you to have more wholesome living. I am so excited about the show we have prepared for you today, so I encourage you to grab your tea, grab your coffee, pull up to the table with us, as we are going to encourage you to definitely live the best life that you can. First today, I have Dr. Valerie Martin-Stewart. Dr. Valerie is an ordained minister, keynote speaker, science, technology, engineering, and math speaker, author, electric engineer, former professional athlete, and founder and director of a nonprofit organization. I'm so excited about having this dynamic woman join us today on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire. Dr. Valerie, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing so well this morning. I just want to thank you for being my guest today on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio. I am just so thrilled to have you with me.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Well, I tell you, this month on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio, we are definitely talking about a very important topic. It all got inspired by a message that my bishop has been preaching, talking about enjoying the journey, with this really being the love month. And I really just meditated and got a revelation that it's really important that not just to enjoy it, but love it. And so I really wanted to share that this month on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire. Dr. Valerie, just really tell us a little bit about yourself as we talk about really enjoying the journey.
Okay, well, I'd like to share, as a lot of things you've already mentioned, that I am an ordained minister. I've been licensed in preaching since 1997. I founded the nonprofit ministry, Taking It by Force, where I travel nationally as well as internationally. I've traveled to Peru and Jamaica putting on conferences, grief seminars. We teach and preach on spiritual warfare, as well as give away scholarships to C and D average high school students that maybe didn't fare so well on exams in the classroom, but really are great students and desire to go on to college. And we do a lot of things as far as helping boys and girls orphanages, as well as I'm, as you said, an electrical engineer now for 22 years with the Department of Defense. I've worked for the Army in Huntsville, Alabama. I work for the Air Force in Washington, D.C., and I now work for the Navy here in Virginia as an engineer, going aboard ships and doing testing. I'm also an author of 3 books. I've been writing since I was 12. I've dealt with a lot of depression, rejection, suicidal thoughts. I actually wrote my obituary out when I was 12 years old, didn't think I would live long. And so around 2006, I've been saving those poems, and even as I traveled overseas playing professional basketball, working for the Australian government, I had the opportunity to play in Italy, Australia, and Peru, and work for the Australian government. And it was at that time that people, even high school teachers, knew that I wrote, were telling me that I needed to consider publishing a book one day. And I never desired to publish my work. I only was writing for my own release, just like playing sports. It was a way to get release from the agony of depression and rejection that I've always felt. So, but about 2006, God led me to publish my first book, which was Out of Pain Came Poetry. Most of my poems was written when I was suicidal, very depressed, very full of low self-esteem and all of those things. And I published that book. And the second one is called Rise Above Rejection, Exposing the Little Girl in Me, which was a divine revelation I had on Interstate 65 headed to Nashville in 2003 of of where the root of my rejection started. I went through a terrible divorce in 1996, and I thought that's where my rejection started. But God gave me a revelation that it actually started at 4 years old. And since then, that book has been converted into a screenplay, and I'm actually talking to agents and producers now about that becoming a featured film. And my third book is called Miraculous Moments, Living in the Supernatural. It's a collection of dreams and visions that I've had since I was 12 years old. I would dream about things in the night and see them manifest the very next day and sometime in the same week.
Wow. I mean, Dr. Valerie, that's just such a powerful testimony. One, I have to commend you in all the amazing work that you're doing from, one, just your career as an engineer, as well as an author, and to say that, you have been writing as long as you have. I thought that it was, very interesting that you said at 12 you wrote out your obituary, and now to see, how your writings have come, so far and have turned into not just 3 books, but as also a screenplay. That's just definitely, amazing. And, so I want you to share with us a little bit when you look back, over all of that, what advice would you give, our listening audience as far as, things you've learned from your journey?
Well, one thing for sure that I've learned is to find and follow your passion. Me becoming an engineer, I'm excited about it, and I've had, great opportunities. My job recently sent me to Hawaii just last month for 10 days. And so I've had the opportunity to travel to Canada, many places in the United States. So the engineering job has been a blessing, but it was not my first love. I've always wanted to be a psychologist. And I come from a very educated family of retired principal, engineers, RN, and the list goes on, a retired major in the Air Force, one of my brothers. So they all encouraged me not to major in psychology, saying that there's money there. One of my brothers who served in the Marines saying, hey, you're good in math, you'll consider engineering because that's where the money will be in the future. And so I tell people that, yes, I majored in engineering and I had a lot of tutoring and everything else, but it's not my first love. I've always wanted to help, I used to say, hurting women and children. And so psychology what's my first love. And so now I'm into motivational speaking, and that's the thing that I tell people, find and find passion. I've had the opportunity to serve as keynote speaker at the Department of Treasury in Washington, D.C. 2 times, at the Library of Congress twice, U.S. Census Bureau twice, all in D.C. and Maryland, and many other government agencies. And when I asked the question, how many of you dread getting up in the morning? Not dread being alive, but dread getting up because you hate or dislike your current job. And just about every hand goes up, even supervisors. And, and the reason they stay is because of longevity, because kids have to go to college or they're already enrolled in college, or, they just bottom line have too much time in to pursue another career. So you wouldn't believe the many unfulfilled people that are working a job 9 to 5, and they're so unfulfilled. And I was in that same boat, but I thank God that, I begin to tune into Him and His voice and what He has put me on the earth to do. And now I begin to tap into all these other things like the writing, releasing my books, the motivational speaking, and traveling to do the ministry. So I would definitely tell people, and part of loving your journey is to find and follow your passion.
And I can relate so much to what you're saying, Dr. Valerie, and I completely agree, because I do think that a lot of times life circumstances, really cause us to sometimes, stay very stagnant, in position. But, when how do you really move out of that? Because I know for you, you said you really found revelation, through Christ. So, how would you also encourage others, to really be able to move into that passion?
Well, one is, the number one thing I hear from most people is they are afraid. Most people fear failure, whereas a few of us, like myself, have feared success. And it may sound crazy, but one of my most, requested seminars in the DMV area has been Do It Afraid. And right now I'm working on completing that book. I have a DVD and a CD of Do It Afraid. But in Do It Afraid, I talk about how to face your fears, how to overcome failure, depression, rejection, shame, and turn every setback into a comeback. Because as I've traveled, both, professionally and personal trips, I sit in the airports and on the planes beside people, and they begin to tell me about what they desire to do in life and where they desire to travel or go or accomplish. And I say, well, have you done those things? Are you pursuing? And they say no. And I ask why, and they say they're a failure. And so, and one of the things I share in my seminar is that the people that are the most successful are those that have failed the most. For example, Abraham Lincoln, he went off to the war as a captain but returned as a private. He tried being a lawyer in Springfield many times but failed. He went on to try to run for Congress and senator many times, failed. And by 1863, he wrote a letter to his best friend saying, I have to be the most miserable person alive. And if what I felt could be equally distributed among the human race, there would be not one happy person alive. But we all know Abraham went on to become one of the greatest presidents of all time, having signed the Emancipation of Proclamation and, ending slavery. And now a national, monument of him is on the National Mall, and that's awesome to me. People like Babe Ruth and others, they failed. Walt Disney, they failed many times in life, having filed bankruptcy and everything else, and yet they got back up again.
Absolutely. And, I think the title, Do It Afraid, is just dynamic because, really one of the things that I have really in meditation have been thinking about is that when you think about a journey, the journey has, peaks, it has valleys, but you need both to really get to the destination. So I love, the connection when you say Do It Afraid, because there are going to be times while on that road you're not going to enjoy, you're not going to, you may not, know what's expected, what's to come, and there may be fear that'll set in. But if you keep pressing on, you'll begin to see the scenery change.
That is really so true.
Yeah, it's really through that pressing. And, I think that's so dynamic as far as you really teaching on that, Dr. Valerie. I'm telling you, you are giving us such great tips. We are going to take a short break. I'm going to encourage the Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire audience. Again, grab your tea, grab your coffee, pull up to the table with Dr. Valerie and I, and tune in. We are talking about loving your journey. Stay with us on the May We Help You Radio Network.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about that place. Even your emotions have an echo in so much space. And when you're out there without care, I was out of touch. But it wasn't because I didn't know enough. I just knew too much. Does that make
Hi, my name is Letitia M., owner of May We Help You Network. I want to thank you for joining us and enjoying our host here on MWHY Radio Network. Please visit us online at mwhyradio.com and like us on facebook.com/MWHY Radio. Tune in to learn more about our hosts and upcoming contests and our TV programming that will be coming to you soon. MWHY Radio, bringing together business, community, and you.
Most people are held captive by being an employee or self-employed. Heroes Academy helps break these chains that bind them. Our financial school has 2 courses of study. First, one for people who want to transition to become business owners, and the second for students who want to learn to become an investor. For more information, please go to heroacad.com.
Thank you so much for staying with us on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio. We are having a good time today. I'm telling you, my guest today, Dr. Valerie Martin-Stewart, this dynamic woman just has been sharing with us so much of her journey and great tips. Dr. Stewart, before the break, you were really just talking about your seminar that you do It Afraid, how you talk about facing the fear, overcoming failure, depression, shame, and suicidal thoughts. I just think that this session that you're doing is such dynamic work, because I think a lot of times it's important. We can travel through our day, we can travel through life, but we still have this fear inside, and we really aren't facing it, and we really aren't even acknowledging it. So I love the fact that you say, follow your passion. Just, go in a little bit more and tell us, how did you even come up with the seminar, Do It Afraid?
Well, I want to say that I've always desired to be a motivational speaker. Ever since I heard Les Brown back in the early 80s when I was a senior in high school, my sister was playing a VHS of him, and I walked through the house, and I can't tell you what he was talking about, but I can tell you that what he was saying, or what he was doing more so, connected with something on the inside of me. And I said, I would love to do that one day. I would love to stand before people and say, not a whole paragraph, not a whole sentence, but just one word. I would love to help people move from where they are to where they need to be. But I resolved that I'll never be able to do that because I'm afraid. I care about what everybody think about me. I'm shy. I'm timid, passive. I was all those things coming up, sports. Because I played basketball and became well at it, I ran track and tennis and all those things, but people thought I was very outgoing, and it kind of pushed me out front. But my heart has always been toward motivational speaking, and in 2006, I published the first book, as I say, the poetry book, Out of Pain Came Poetry, and in 2007, I had always attended the national the big conference, Blacks in Government National Training Conference. In 2007, a friend and I, a coworker, decided, because she had written a book and I had written a book, we thought we'd put in to be a speaker there. Well, I didn't know. She withdrew her application, and by the time I found out, seminar had been accepted. And I didn't know what I'd talk about, and I thought, well, I guess I'll talk about things that I've gone through in life. I've dealt with fear, dealt with depression, rejection, suicidal thoughts, and I actually put in for that seminar, and it was accepted, and I went to Nashville, is where I made my debut giving that seminar, and as I said, it's been one of the most requested, and I'm just blessed by God to know that one of my elder friends, she has helped me to see that valued really doing nothing but ministry. God has opened a wide door in the government for you to go forward and talk about, negative emotional things that you've been through and that others are going through, so that they may be healed, because where people may never come to a church and hear me, or they may not believe in women preachers as I was raised and believed and taught that. They may never come to a spiritual conference, but they're going to come to their government program and, and support, be it Black History Month or Women's History or whatever. And so I have the opportunity then. And so that's how the seminar came about. And I tell people, I had on the chart how to face fear because I have not overcome my fear of speaking. Every time, even at Department of Treasury, over 500 people in the Ronald Reagan Ballroom, and I'm about to stand to give a presentation, and I'm shaking, and even the point of contact, the lady that brought me there said, Val, come down, it's okay. But I'm so fearful when I get up there, but I'm simply facing my fear. I'm doing it afraid. That's what I tell people. Once I stood up and I asked the people, do you have fears in your life? Every hand went up. Some people raised both hands. I said, I don't care if it's fear of flying, fear of dying, fear of heights or whatever. And then, I told people once I connect with the audience or with the crowd, it's just like brushing my teeth or dribbling a basketball. And where that title really developed from, one day I was reading the scriptures over in Matthew where Jesus was walking on the water, a very familiar passage where, Peter said, if it be thou, bid me to come. And Jesus simply said, come. Well, right before that, it said they saw him walking on the water and they were all afraid. It did not say they were all afraid except Peter. So I heard pastors, my own stepfather, preach that sermon talking about Peter and how he began to sink and drown. But I am now an optimistic person, and I realize that Peter is the only man that can say he ever walked on the water other than Jesus. I don't care if it was 10 seconds, 5 seconds. I realize that when Peter stepped out of that boat, he did it afraid. I don't believe all fear had left Peter. I simply believe that Peter faced his fears. Also, I tell people those 11 that stayed in the boat, no doubt they taunted and tempted Peter, telling him, hey, man, you're just a man. You don't have the power and ability to walk on the water. We, too, have people like that in our lives. And I tell people we're going to have to leave some people behind. We're going to have to leave some people in the boat if we're going to step out of our individual boats and do it afraid. So each time I get up, I'm continuing to do it afraid.
That's awesome, Dr. Valerie. We are having such great response this morning. I know we've had some callers that are calling in. I definitely know that we had a gentleman that wanted to give a comment about what he's heard on the show today. Caller, are you with us? I don't know if we still have him with us, but Dr. Valerie, I want to just say to you, when you and as you were speaking, something really just resonated, with me. It's so ironic how a lot of times some of the things that we can say in secret, really only the Creator knows, and how those things will then manifest. I have to go back and hone in on the fact that you said, you wanted to be that speaker, and how, look at not just the audience, but look at the audiences that you are now able to really touch, and the magnitude. I mean, you talked about speaking at the Library of Congress, within the government. I mean, these are huge things. And so, I think that all really connects back to when you talk about, stepping through. When you say even now, while you're doing that thing, you really have to, go through it and keep going. You have that moment where you said just shaking. I mean, I can definitely completely understand that, because sometimes, we have to push through. Again, like I said, on that journey, we got to press our way through. And then, like you said, we got to leave some folks behind. I mean, that's the truth.
It is. And sometimes they're family people. Sometimes I tell people you may have to leave family members behind, because everybody is not going to share your same vision or passion. And everybody, I say, are at different spiritual levels. Some of us have greater faith than others, and And so I've learned to not look at my circumstances or my current resources, but I've simply, I've stepped out of my boat, and I tell people I'm walking on the water, come and walk with me, And I also share and do it afraid about we have to fly high. Too many times we stay on the ground, we travel and hang out with, I say, barnyard chickens and everything else. But once when I purchased my new car, as soon as I purchased my car in 2006, a bird flew in front of me, a sparrow. And when I hit the sparrow, I get these nuggets of truth, or parables I call them. I jumped out and asked my daughter to see if there was a dent on my car, and there was not, and she was more concerned about the bird, of course. And we got back in the car, and I heard this, Val, even though I didn't give that bird the wings to fly above airplanes, as pilots have said, they've seen some eagles flying at 15,000 and 20,000 feet. He said, I did give it the wings to fly above the height of your car. It chose to fly at a low level. He said, and that's why I got hit. He said, you and my people so many times in life get hit, yes, because there are mean people in the world, and people just don't like you because of where you came from, or they didn't like your parents or your siblings. But he said, too many times we get hit in life simply because we're traveling too low.
Wow.
We're flying too low in life, and that's why many times we get hit with things. So I tell people to spread your wings and fly high, and that I'll meet you in the skies.
Wow.
Just to cut you off, ladies, Terry Green is available outside if you still wanted to speak with him.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Mr. Green?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Mr. Green. How are you? Thank you so much for tuning in to Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire today.
Oh, good to be here.
What is your comment or question for Dr. Valerie?
Well, actually, like I said, I really didn't have a question or anything, but there were some things that she said that related to me that hit me so hard because I walked those same roads. Like she was saying that no matter what she tried to do, things didn't work out. I was in the same position. I've been in the music business for 35 years this year, and I've been around and been with who's who in the music industry. So my point is, everything I was trying to do, actually I've been in the music business 35 years, 20-something in circular, and then 14 in gospel. So I was with circular. I had signed to 2 major record labels, and it didn't work for me. I mean, I tried. I was signed with 2 labels, major labels. My stuff never got out. So, but it was prophesied to me like years ago that you're supposed to be doing gospel. I ran from God. I did not want to do that gospel. So God put me in a bad position. You don't want to do what I want you to do. So I was in a couple of, when I heard her say car accidents, I was in 3 car accidents. And those accidents put me in the bed. I was bedridden for 3 years. Couldn't walk. Okay, I couldn't walk. So I laid there for 3 years, and I said, Lord, it was not a bargaining chip. I said, Lord, I'm ready. I said, I will do whatever you want me to do. And God knew my heart, and he knew my mind. He knew I was ready. So he told me to get out that bed, go to my doctors, tell them to take me off the medication, powerful medications that I was on, Prozac and everything. He said, get out that bed and walk. When January the 1st comes in, 2002, I want you to get out that bed and walk and go do my will. And as soon as January the 1st, 2002 came in, I got up out of that bed. I had previously, in October, told the doctors to take me off the medication. I said, well, Lord, I can't do gospel. I don't have any gospel connections. A friend came by my house that same week and gave me this book. The book is called Gospel Music Roundup, and it had every connection in the world to turn into gospel, how to do it. I studied that book from front to back, and I make a long story short, at the end of 2002, I was in Billboard magazine.
Wow. Well, that is such a powerful testimony, Mr. Green, and I just really thank you for calling in to share. Dr. Valerie, do you have anything to add to what Mr. Green is sharing with us today?
Well, I just admire his courage to stand and pursue, to follow his passion, even though he thought maybe it wasn't something he wanted to do. I likewise can share that I did not want to preach, one, because that's the way I was taught and raised, and that was the reason I was overseas playing pro ball, because I was a great ball player, but not because, I was just, that was my first choice. I was really running from God like Jonah, trying to get my call to preach, only for one of the Australian fathers to call me one day and tell me that he saw a glow on me, what I had heard many times in little girl being told to my parents and guardians. And he said God revealed to him I had been called to preach.
Wow. So, I mean, you are all the way in Australia, and you get prophesied this, while you were actually playing basketball.
Yes, and that's what I tell people. My ministry, I say I accepted my call in 97, but I really started preaching in Australia in 1990 because, at that time that he called me, and I was so nervous, and I was thinking, what in the world? He started talking about this glow, and here I am thinking I'm in hiding, that God doesn't see me now. I'm in the land down under. And only for him to say, I looked at my daughter to see was the glow on her while y'all were on the court. He said, I know you know she's a Christian because she told me you and her have had several talks about God. And I said, yes. He said, but I didn't see a glow on her or the other American player. He said, and at that point I asked God again, well, why is that glow just on Valerie Martin? He said, God revealed to me you've been called to preach. So I hung up the phone, and only for him to call me right back. And he said, I already knew you were going to do that. You don't need to apologize. God told me to give you this scripture. It was over in 1 Corinthians. He said he wants you to read and study the scripture, and he's going to give you revelation, and he wants you to write each one of the girls a letter, minister to them on this scripture, including his daughter. And I did just that, and it was like that was the beginning of ministry for me, because all of those girls, they had heard of Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson and even Martin Luther King, but they had never heard about Jesus. Most of them had never set foot in a church.
Wow. I mean, and I think that's, so ironic that you had that experience, like you said, while you were, actually, hiding and running from something that you, kind of knew was inside of you. I also want to highlight the fact that, you played professional ball in Peru as well as Italy. Dr. Valerie, just share with us, how was that experience in total?
Oh, those experiences were great. They were actually awesome. Once I finished playing in college at the University of Alabama in Huntsville, my coach there, she said, you've had to downplay your basketball skills because, no one on the team had been able to, catch your passes, my no-look passes like Magic Johnson and all the rest. So she heard about the tryout in Chicago and said there were going to be coaches from all overseas. That was way before, 7 years before the WNBA. And she encouraged me to go to Chicago and try out, and I did. And I had several coaches from Germany, Sweden, as well as Australia and Italy, to want me to come and play for them as a point guard, a 1 and 2 guard. But I secured an agent there, and as I say, I was ready to go because not so much that I want to leave my family at such a young age. I simply was running from my call to preach. And those experiences, taught me, how, again, team play, how to work well with teams of a different language, being in Peru and Italy, with a Spanish team and then an Italian team. But in Australia, they speak English or, so it was, I enjoyed Australia a whole lot more, except for I tell people this. You can be in the most, beautiful place in the world, the place that you desire to go, be it Hawaii or some island, but if you're weary in your spirit, if you're out of alignment and disobeying God, it would be just like you're on the dusty roads of your hometown. And that's what a lot of my experiences were like in Australia. I don't talk about it much. It's not ooh-ah for me because I was weary. I was there for approximately 1 year, but I was so weary in my spirit, and I not enjoy all the luxuries of Australia, even though I traveled to every city, Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, Brisbane. I traveled to all those, spent the night, played those teams there, but I could not fully enjoy my experience there because I was out of alignment with God.
Wow. And I think that's a powerful revelation because, that's true, of no matter where we are, it's just like that. We can't fully enjoy it when someplace we just become displaced. It's just it's just the reality of how things, operate. And sometimes it takes experiences and opportunities, for us to really recognize that that's what's going on, for us to kind of get in alignment and really get balanced, or find out what in our life is out of balance. I want to switch gears with this real quick, Dr. Valerie, because I cannot, allow us to not talk about, how you're author of 3 books, Out of the Pain Came Poetry, Rise Above Rejection, and The Miraculous Moments. And I definitely want to really, really talk about how your second book has been created into a screenplay. And now you're saying that, you are really in talks about, it going even further. So share the juicy with us on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire.
Well, yes. Well, while I was in Alabama, after having published the first book, I thought I was done. Like, as I say, never want to be an author, published author. It was only for my own release. But after, having the encounter, that whole second book was developed from me traveling to Nashville and being a licensed ordained minister and engineer. In 2003 of October, I was being tempted to pull out in front of an 18-wheeler on Interstate 65. I was feeling depression, rejection, and all those things, and God began to talk to me about this little girl inside of me. Well, first I heard a voice talking about all the great things I had accomplished. So I was really thinking it was God. It was telling me about all the great accolades I had accomplished and overseas and even stateside. But at the end of that, it said, but you're still by yourself. You don't have anybody to enjoy it with. And at that point, I realized, why is God hurting me? I thought, why is God hurting me? Why is he bringing up these painful things? Why is he bringing up my painful divorce? Because my ex-husband left me and my daughter on the floor. And so, sure enough, at that moment, I heard the voice say, look in your rearview mirror. There's an 18-wheeler coming. And if you would turn left at the precise time I tell you, it will instantly hit you right in your side, and you will die instantly. You won't have to worry about all the whys of life. And I began to call each 6 of my siblings on that day and didn't talk long, but Lord later revealed to me I was saying my goodbyes. And I made it to Nashville. Of course, I did not turn and pull out in front of the 18-wheeler. What I will say, there was an 18-wheeler coming. And I knew that was the devil. I knew God did not desire for me to take my own life. When I made it to Nashville, I dried my face long enough to check into the Gaylord Hotel and all of that, and I went into my room and broke down crying again, only to hear the Lord to say, get a pen and paper and write what you hear. And what I wrote was 12 pages on legal pad. God began to talk to me about this little girl at 4 years old whose rejection started at that age of being left at her grandmother's house every day by her mother. Mama came by and picked me up at the end of the day. Mama, can I go home with you? She would say yes, and I went to the back to get my little red coat. When I got back, Mama was gone. So I grew up, all my rejection, God says, started there. In every other relationship that I've encountered, be it in sports or with boyfriends or the husband, if I felt any rejection there, it was just all piled on top of what was already there, and I was just constantly suppressing it. But God said that it's time to reveal those things that we try to conceal so he may heal us. And it was about a few years after that he started telling me it's time to publish my second book. I said, I don't have a second book. He said, yeah, those 12 pages I gave you in Nashville, I want you to develop, rejection and all that. And I started typing the book out. I didn't want to do it. I said, God, I'm laying my feelings bare here. Everyone can see straight through me. And God said, Val, just as I used Jesus, I used one man to redeem the world, I want to use your life to heal so men and women from rejection. He said, and when he talked about rise above rejection, exposing the little girl in me, he said, Val, you've been walking around as an adult, Val, but whenever someone says or do something to you that trigger your childhood happenings or that childhood rejection, you don't realize it, but that little girl manifests and begin to pout or do whatever. He said, but you're not the only one. He said, there's so many grown men and women walking around with little boys and little girls on the inside, and life forces us to grow up, to mature, to take on men and women responsibilities. But and so we suppress those childhood hurts, be it molestation, rape, incest, verbal abuse, physical abuse. We suppress all those things, but what we fail to realize, those things manifest in our lives, in our adult lives, at some point in some time, be it in our personal or professional life. And God said, I want to use your story so I can heal these grown men and women with little girls and little boys on the inside. So I started hearing movie in Alabama, and I moved to Virginia. My daughter and I, in 2008, I contacted Denzel Washington and others about, because I kept hearing movie, and I thought, I'm getting besides myself here. My book is not going to become a movie. And Denzel Washington's office told me that, it has to be converted into a screenplay. But I didn't know how to do a screenplay, and I went to a small church in Virginia, and the spirit was high, and the Lord began to tell me, I want you to get up and give a 2-minute testimony. And the opportunity, the door was open where the pastor called me forward, and I did. And when I did, a deacon approached me, who I later also found out he's a screenplay writer. And he said to me, I need a copy of your book. The Lord just revealed to me you have a movie on your hand.
Wow.
I heard movie in Alabama, and he heard movie here in Virginia. That nearly blew my mind. And since then, that was 2009, the book has been converted into a screenplay. It's now registered with Skills in Hollywood, and I'm currently talking to an entertainment lawyer for Lionsgate about it becoming a featured film.
That's just amazing, Dr. Valerie. I know we do have a caller that has a question for you. Caller, are you with us? Announce yourself and share your question for Dr. Valerie.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello? Y'all can hear me?
How you doing?
Yes.
How you doing, cousin?
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
What's your question for Dr. Valerie?
I have a question as far as like in my life, I hear her talking a lot about the Christianity and the religion, and I just wanted to ask her, does she know anything about the Willie Lynch letter and how religion and the slavery and how the Willie Lynch has affected us as a people, as far as how we treat each other, as far as how we pick our religion, as far as how we educate our children, and the miseducation of the Negro. I just wanted her to kind of elaborate on that, and does she have a lot of knowledge about that?
Well, I can say I did not come prepared to talk about the Lynch letter that you're mentioning. I have read it. I read it many years ago in Alabama. When you talk about the miseducation of the Negro when it comes to religion and all those things, I would definitely say that is there is some truth in that. For example, of the thought that women are not called to preach. I was raised in a Baptist church, a missionary Baptist, where my stepfather was the pastor, and he strongly taught and believed that women are only called to be missionaries. So I believe as far as how we raise our children and all the rest, we have to become independent thinkers. We have to get away from being religious and have a relationship with God. And it was through my own seeking, understanding from God about the scriptures that I came into the revelation knowledge through dreams and visions that I was having, as well as others had about myself. Mothers were having in the church of me leading masses of people of all races that God has called me to preach in spite of what I've been taught. And there's many things that I never saw my dad do, I can say, as far as anoint with oil or lay hands on people, but God has given me that type of ministry. So I would say that each one of us have to be individual thinkers and independent thinkers and seek God and seek the Holy Spirit for guidance for ourselves.
I think that's a great response, to that question, Dr. Valerie, because I totally agree with you. I think, it's so much that we can take, from it, but also, it's how we, apply and go forth and the decisions that we make with our own life. So I think that you, definitely answered that very well. Thank you so much, Al, for calling in to Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio today. Dr. Valerie, just in closing, before you wrap up, I want you to also, I know you talked about it in the beginning, you have a nonprofit, Taking It By Force Outreach Ministry that's doing some dynamic work. I know that you say that, you guys create scholarships for students that are C and D, students, which I definitely think is very inspiring because, you hear a lot of times about, the good students, but, what about the ones that could be good students, but they have circumstances? So, I definitely want to commend you, in providing that, to so many students and the work that your nonprofit is doing, in the mission field. Just share a little bit, with us about Taking It By Force outreach.
Yes, Taking It By Force was developed. Actually, it came about in 2004. My daughter and I had made plans to go to Florida and hang out with my brother and his family in Orlando, and go to all the theme parks, hang out in their pool, but there were so many suicides back in my hometown of Oxford, Mississippi, that God interrupted my plans and said, you will not be going to Orlando this Christmas. You're going to Mississippi. You're going to hold a 3-night service, and you're going to teach on spiritual warfare, because God had taught me, not in the Missionary Baptist Church or the Cumberland Presbyterian Church that I was licensed and ordained in, but the Holy Spirit taught me at home by myself about demonic spirits, about these spirits that had even bombarded my life since childhood, that they were actually, demonic spirits that had me in bondage, and they had become strongholds in my life. And God said to me, "Thou, the people have been saved, and they have power, but it's lying dormant." He said, "I want you to go stir up the gifts in them and tell them that they have power. They just accepted sicknesses and disease, poverty, and so I went and started. I went home and obeyed, and went home back in 2004 and did the 3-night. And the people started asking for me to come back. And then, I was able to travel to Wisconsin and then and hold the conferences there several times, and then in Alabama. And what I found out about stepping out of the 4 walls of the church and allowing God to use me all over the world, be it in a building or, wherever there's a need, is that depression and that rejection, that's your title is talking about loving your journey. The opposite of that is being so unfulfilled in life. And a lot of my unfulfillment came towards, me not using the gifts that was in me. And when I began out of the 4 sides of the walls of the church and stop waiting on an opportunity there to preach, but to use my gifts wherever God places my feet and wherever there's a need, I realize that my desire to minister to God's people is directly connected to the need of the people. Absolutely. And that's where fulfillment comes. I think all of us, we live unfulfilled lives when we sit and wait and feel inferior to others because we may share the same gifts and we feel like they can do it better, they say it better, they sing better or whatever. We all have been given gifts, and we all have strengths and weaknesses. And so I say to people, don't compare yourself to me or anyone else, because where we may share one gift, you still may have 4 other gifts, but by you comparing yourself to me in that one, you're leaving 4 gifts untouched and untapped into. So Taking It by Force was developed out of all those young people that were committing suicide, and since then it's grown, to where I've been able to travel abroad with it.
Wow. I just have to commend you, Dr. Valerie. You are doing such amazing work. I mean, your testimony in general is just so inspiring. I want to commend you, as you just continue, to really, follow out, your dreams, those things that are inside of you that you didn't believe were possible, and how you're, living that. Again, it's part of the journey. In closing, Dr. Valerie, please share how our followers can, stay connected to you. If you have any events coming up, we definitely want to be able to support you. So just, how can we, definitely know what's going on with you?
Okay, yes. My website is www.valeriemstewart.com. That's where people can book me for motivational speaking or speaking for STEM or just your church or other, programs that you're having. The nonprofit is takeitbyforce.org. Again, that's takeitbyforce.org, and my email is vms@valeriemstewart.com. My books are available on my website as e-books, and they're also available at Amazon as Kindle books as well as hardbacks, or you can, contact me directly for a hardcover of the book.
Well, Dr. Valerie, I just want to thank you so much for being my guest today. I mean, this has just been an exceptional interview. I mean, I have learned so much. I thank you for sharing, so much of your journey, with us. And we just want to applaud you in what you're doing. We want to just tell our listeners to thank you so much for staying with us today on Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire. We're getting ready to go to a break. We're going to play, one of our next guest songs, Tabria. She's an R&B Soulstress coming out of the DMV area. I just want to make sure that we give the disclaimer. Her song does have one or two sensitive words in it, so we just want to make sure that if there are any children around, that this is not for them. But, it's a great music. Tabria is a dynamic musician and artist, and we're excited about having her next with us. So stay tuned to Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire. I'm your host, Saji. Thanks again, Dr. Valerie. You have a great weekend.
Woke up with a smile on my face. Hi, I am Caprice Smith, your uncuffed living expert. I am also a transformational and empowering business coach. I teach strong, empowered women how to uncover their own life's purpose and match it with a business of their dreams and create several streams of income. I believe if you're not living uncuffed, you're just not living. There are too many women that are faking it until they make it. Working with me enables you to do the self-work so that you live the life that's meant for you. I invite you to visit capricesmith.com. There you will find my packages. I conduct VIP days where I spend an entire day working one-to-one with my client. I also host monthly seminars. I have a huge annual seminar, and I founded my nonprofit 501c3 where we teach families and teens about dating and domestic violence. There are so many layers to me. I invite you to connect by visiting capricesmith.com and scheduling your free 20-minute strategy session where you too can start to live uncuffed. In addition, every Saturday at 10 o'clock, I invite my listeners to the May We Help You radio team where they hear from other women who, like me, have discovered their purpose and are living the life that's meant for them. Until I meet you in person, have a wonderful day. And remember, if you're not living uncuffed, you're just not living.
Most people are held captive by being an employee or self-employed. Heroes Academy helps break these chains that bind them. Our financial school has 2 courses of study. First, one for people who want to transition to become business owners, and the second for students who want to learn to become an investor. For more information, please go to heroacad.com.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire Radio. I'm your host, Sai G. Every Friday, we bring you motivation, inspiration, and information that is dedicated to encourage you to have more wholesome living. I am so excited today to have with me Tabria, who is an R&B Soulstress who has made her presence known all over, but more exclusively around the East Coast. Before she began performing outside of her hometown of Prince George County, Maryland, she dedicated most of her performance to local cities in and surrounding the metropolitan area of Washington, D.C. Tabria has performed for mass audiences, including, but not limited to, the national acclaimed stage of BET Networks, Blaze the Stage, formed and operated by writer-producer 106 in Part, Pat Charles, and Six Flags of America. While continuing to write for others, including herself, one of the songs she wrote and performed is iTunes' featured song, Feel Yourself. Tabria, how are you?
I am lovely. Thank you. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing so well. I want to just first say thank you so much. I know that you have been extremely busy. So Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire is so excited to be able to catch up with you and be able to have an exclusive interview and just hear about all the great things you have going on.
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, life is really hectic at the moment, but in a very good way. I feel blessed. I feel motivated. I just feel honored to be on this show. My son is a huge motivation for a lot of what I do, and God keeps me humble and keeps me going. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's just so exciting. And, I just have to share, Tabria and I, definitely go way back. So just to even hear Tabria talk about her son, I remember Tabria, before, you even had Zion. So how old is Zion now, Tabria?
My baby, yeah, she's going to always be my baby, is 5 years old now.
Wow, time flies. Time flies. Oh, my goodness. Well, that is so exciting. Well, just really share with us, what is going on. I know you're doing big things. I know that you even told me that, you have lots of things going on. You're performing all over the city. So just share with our listening audience a little bit about who Tabria is and what you've been bringing, to the area.
Okay, well, first of all, I am an artist. I'm an R&B soul artist. And I've been doing this now for about, I would say, 10 years, but on a professional level from about 5 to 6 years. And as you mentioned, I have done things on a national level. I've been performing all over, including but not limited to BET, Blaze the Stage. I've done stuff even in your city. I've sung the national anthem at the Richmond Flying Squirrel Stadium.
Wow.
Yes, it's just been an awesome adventure. Outside of singing, I do own a online boutique, and it's called LaverneandHattie.com. A lot of people say, well, what in the world inspired that name, Laverne and Hattie? Well, to me, Laverne and Hattie just kind of sounds classy. It kind of gives a real feminine touch. And I was inspired by my grandmothers. So those are my two grandmothers' names, Laverne and Hattie. And those ladies, let me tell you, are the flyest women that I know. So they were not only a huge inspiration to me, but to the boutique. And so what I want, for the people, the ladies to get is a final touch of accentuation. And that's where you can get that at my online boutique. So, outside of that, like I said, I have my music going on. I have an unplugged session coming up that's scheduled for March 8th. I'm going to have some local artists of the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area that's going to be on the showcase performing along with me. There's a rap artist by the name of Southeast Slim, and then I have some other special guests that will be there as well. And what you're going to get is all of me. You're going to get all of this class that I talk about, all of this sophistication, all of this final touch of accentuation, the R&B, the soul. You're just going to get all of me in this one session. And it's going to be showcased in Waldorf, Maryland. So if you're around, please come on out, because I promise it's going to be a night that you do not want to miss.
Wow, Tabria, you have so much going on, and I just want to congratulate you. I just love the fact, I love the name of your online boutique, and it is definitely classy and absolutely fly. And there's one thing that I know about you, you always bring it as far as fashion. So I know that your boutique, oh, yes, absolutely. So I know that your boutique is definitely, expressing that and sharing that style, with others. How can someone get in touch with you as far as your online boutique?
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, what you can do is you can visit my website. Again, it's www.laverne, LAVERNE, and Hattie, HATTIE.com. And I have all of my contact information there, from emails to phone numbers, all of that. So I'm very easy to find, and if you're looking for me, I'm all over. You can Google me. My name, again, is Tabria, Tabria, and sometimes you will see an attachment of Miss Boss. You may see Tabria, Miss Boss, MISSBOSS.
Wow, Tabria. Well, I think that is just excellent. I want to congratulate you on all that you're doing. I have to ask you, before you go, because, I just thank you. I know that you have been extremely busy, but what really inspired you, to start singing?
Well, I started a long time ago. It's funny because both of my parents are deaf, and
I didn't know that, Tabria.
Both of my parents are deaf, and I was in the choir one day with my grandmother, Grandma Hattie, and they just, singing to the Lord, and I will never forget they stopped singing, and the choir director said, well, who wants to take on this solo? Okay, child, let me tell you, little Miss Tabria, a.k.a. Tabby, that's what my family called me, stood up in that choir and said, I do, and grabbed the mic, honey. Girl,
you stood right on up to Bria, huh?
Little Miss Tabria at 5 years old grabbed that mic, honey, turned around and looked at the choir and said, I'm going to sing this song, child. And I don't think I put down the mic since.
Wow.
I don't know what it is.
That is the greatest.
Yes, sure. I don't know what it was about that choir or that director or grandma, but, honey, that mic has stayed in my hand, and I have been singing since.
Wow, Tabria. Well, where are you performing? I mean, are you, is there anywhere that someone can catch you on a regular basis, or
yes. And you know what? Yes, I do sing a lot. I pretty much perform every weekend. Right now, I've been staying true and local to the Maryland area. We are looking to expanding, but of course, we have to be set up to do that. But at the time, I am currently performing every weekend. I'll be in Maryland. I'll be in Waldorf, Maryland, to be exact, at the Getaway Lounge. I don't have the exact address, but that's searchable as well. It's the Getaway Lounge, and that's in Waldorf, Maryland. I'm there every weekend with a live band doing it, okay?
Wow.
Setting the place on fire.
Well, we are definitely going to share. I know I've been following you on Facebook. I've seen your YouTube videos. It's just great stuff. So we will definitely share, some of your footage, as well as, continue to share about your Unplugged, event that is coming up. Tabria, just in closing, again, this month, with it being February, it is the Love Month, and we are talking all about, enjoying your journey. What tips would you really, share with our listening audience that you've learned as far as while you've been on this road called life?
On this road called life, what I have learned and what I would advise is to never give up and stay true to you. That's good stuff, Tabria. That's good stuff.
That's good stuff. That's very good. That's one of the things that like I said, I've really been meditating as far as the journey, and it has peaks and valleys. And I think that one of the biggest things is, when you really focus on, at the end, when we get to the destination, it is about the peaks and the valleys that really get you there. And so one of the things that I'm really, having to understand is that you can't have one without the other.
Nope.
So you got to love them both. You know what I mean? And not at the moment. It's just like if you're on a road trip, at the moment it might not be the best view. You might not enjoy it. However, if you stay on the road, the view changes.
Exactly, because, see, you can't have, like you said, you cannot make it without the other. It makes you who you are. That's how you get educated. That is how you advance. That is how you learn wrong from right. That is how you learn, okay, well, you know what, I did this the last time and it got me nowhere. So this time I better try this, okay, because if I know better, then I'm going to do better. So I definitely agree with you, and I definitely think that will probably be my best advice to give at this time.
Absolutely, Tabria. Well, look, I can already tell that you have such a powerful testimony to even say, and thank you for sharing, that you have, two parents that are deaf, and that, how you are singing and singing in a big way. So, girl, what a miracle and what a blessing that is. And continue to just follow your dream, Tabria. I know that you are going to go extremely far. I am definitely rooting you on. And just from the Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire family, we just want to tell you that we support you.
You know what? Thank you so much to the Motivate and Enrich Inspire family for having me. I love you, Sarita. I love all of you all. Thank you so much. And, again, this interview meant so much to me. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you, Tabria. Look, you stay encouraged and kiss Zion.
Girl, you know I'm getting all the kisses for you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire. I'm your host, Saji. Stay with us. We will definitely have more for you in just one moment. We are getting ready to play another one of Tabria's songs. So, again, if you missed it last time, there may be some sensitive language, not appropriate for children, but nevertheless, please enjoy Tabria's awesome music. What a great interview. It was pre-recorded that we had with Tabria. I am such a fan of her music. She's doing great things in the DMV area. She's an amazing artist, so enjoy.
Come on and be yourself, yeah.
I tell you, if you aren't enjoying and jamming over there with your coffee and your tea, or Tabria's Feel Yourself, you better, because I'm over here dancing in the floor. I just want to thank you so much for tuning in to Motivate, Enrich, Inspire Radio today on the May We Help You Radio Network. It has been a dynamic day. I just thank you for tuning in. Next Friday, we will have with us Deborah Hanson. She's a health and wellness coach, and I'm so excited to have her sharing. We will continue our topic for the month, Loving Your Journey. Again, we want to encourage you to go to our fan page on Facebook, May We Help You, and definitely like it. Follow us on Twitter, May We Help You. Again, I'm your host, Saji. I thank you so much for tuning in every week where we bring you motivation, information, as well as inspiration to encourage you to live on purpose. We're going to play a couple more songs as well as a few commercials. But again, we just thank you for tuning in to Motivate, Enrich, and Inspire. Have a great weekend.
In the night, I hear him talk, coldest story ever told. Somewhere far along this road, he lost his soul to a woman so heartless. How could you be so heartless? Oh, how could you be so heartless? Talking
Incarceration doesn't just affect the one behind bars. It affects everyone. Here's your chance to let others know that being locked up leaves others locked down on the outside, hurting emotionally, economically, and spiritually. We want to know how you feel. Go to www.lovelockdownseries.com and make your creative voice heard. lovelockdownseries.com. We are listening.
Soulstress, a noun meaning a woman with a vision and the heart to follow it. Soulstress focuses on inspiring and supporting the growth of Black women, but is open to all women by using this publication as a vehicle that assists in the fostering of self-progression. This publication does not speak for every woman, but will work to provide the voices and slant of as many as possible. Get your subscription today at soulstress.com. That's SLANTRESS.com.